If you are here because you are tired of living from survival, this channel is for you. If you are here because you have been through betrayal, emotional confusion, narcissistic patterns, spiritual exhaustion, family pain, or seasons where you lost yourself trying to keep peace, this channel is for you. If you are here because you know you are called to live with more truth, more structure, more discernment, more emotional intelligence, and more alignment, this channel is for you. Welcome to Integrity444 LTQS/EFE. I'm Coach Christian. This channel is a teaching space for healing, emotional intelligence, energy protection, discernment, self-mastery, and sovereign living. But let me say this clearly from the beginning. This is not a channel for surface motivation. This is not just think positive. This is not just raise your vibration without discipline. This is not just heal your wounds without telling the truth. This is not just cut people off without wisdom. This is not just find your purpose without structure. Integrity444 is a system, a path, a way of coming back into alignment. Here we talk about the wound, the pattern, the energy, the structure, and the truth. Because a person cannot truly heal while still lying to themselves. A person cannot protect their energy while still giving access to what drains them. A person cannot build purpose while still living without structure. A person cannot become sovereign while still abandoning themselves under pressure. So in this video, I want to introduce you to the Integrity444 ecosystem. I want to show you what this channel is about. I want to show you how LTQS works. I want to show you how EFV works. I want to show you why the healer, the counselor, the mentor, and the animal archetype stories are now the 4 teaching paths. And I want to show you where you fit. If you're new here, comment start here. If you're rebuilding, comment rebuilding. If you're returning to yourself, comment return. Subscribe now because this channel is going to give you language, structure, and tools for the path ahead. Welcome to Integrity444. Let's begin. This channel exists because many people are healing, but they do not have structure. They have pain, but no language. They have awareness, but no direction. They have spiritual sensitivity, but no boundaries. They have purpose, but no discipline. It is built for the person who is done performing peace while carrying pressure. It is built for the person who is done confusing survival with alignment. It is built for the person who is done calling exhaustion loyalty. It is built for the person who is ready to stop leaking energy and start rebuilding from truth. The mission of Integrity444 is simple: to help people heal deeper, grow wiser, protect their energy, walk their path, and build on truth. Integrity means your inner life and outer life are no longer fighting each other. Your words, choices, boundaries, values, energy, and direction begin to agree. That is why the channel is called Integrity444 LTQS/EFV, because the structure is built around 2 major foundations, LTQS and EFV. LTQS gives you the pillars. EFV teaches you how energy moves. LTQS helps you build the life. EFV helps you protect the atmosphere. Together, they create a path back to self-mastery. Let's start with LTQS. Listen, tell the truth, choose wisely, stay aligned. These are not just words, they are pillars. Every life needs pillars, not just motivation, structure. When pressure comes, your life will not rise to your wishes, it will fall to the strength of your pillars. The first pillar is listen. Most people react before they listen, defend before they understand, answer before they discern. But listening is the beginning of wisdom. You have to listen to the words, the silence, your body, the pattern, and the fruit. Sometimes the pattern speaks louder than the apology. The second pillar is tell the truth. Not the edited truth, not the polite truth that protects denial. The truth. This hurt me. This relationship is not aligned. This is access without responsibility. Truth is not cruelty. Truth is structure. You cannot heal what you refuse to name. The third pillar is choose wisely. Truth alone is not enough if your choices keep contradicting it. A lot of people see the pattern, then choose from fear, guilt, or attachment. Wisdom is when truth becomes a decision. Choose wisely means I will not just know better, I will move differently. The fourth pillar is stay aligned. This is where the life gets tested. It is easy to set a boundary when you feel strong. It is harder to protect it when someone calls you selfish. Alignment means your words, choices, boundaries, values, and direction are no longer fighting each other. That is LTQS. Now let's talk about EFV. Energy, frequency, vibration. Your energy is not random. What you feed shapes you. Who you keep answering shapes you. What you keep explaining shapes you. What you keep tolerating shapes you. Attention is access. Your attention is sacred currency. Not everything deserves a seat in your atmosphere. EFV teaches you to ask, what happens to my energy after this interaction? Do I feel clearer or more confused? Do I feel grounded or pressured? This is not about fear. This is about stewardship. Your peace has value. Your nervous system has value. Your calling has value. You cannot give access to everything and wonder why you feel divided. Energy tells before words confess. Frequency reveals what presentation tries to hide. Vibration is the fruit of what you repeatedly agree with. On this channel, we teach energy protection with structure, not vague spirituality, discernment. We check the atmosphere, we protect the signal, we guard the room. That is EFV. Integrity444 moves through 4 major teaching paths: the healer, the counselor, the mentor, and animal archetype stories. Each path serves a different part of the self. The healer helps you face the wound. The counselor helps you understand the pattern. The mentor helps you rebuild the path. The animal stories help you remember the lesson. The healer is for the wounded part of you, the part that is tired of performing strength. The healer says, the wound is real, but it is not your final name. It teaches you how to return to yourself, stop shaming the signal, and tell the truth gently. How to hold pain without becoming it. How to rest without betraying growth. The counselor is for the part of you that needs understanding. What is the pattern? Why do I over-explain? Why do I tolerate what hurts me? The counselor is clinical, precise, and emotionally intelligent. It teaches that self-awareness is not punishment. It is the doorway to maturity. The counselor turns awareness into precise strategy. The mentor is for the part of you that has to move, the part that must rebuild and set structure. The mentor teaches, your calling requires structure. Stop waiting for confidence. Build evidence. A boundary is only real when your behavior protects it. Your future does not need more fantasy. It needs one faithful structure. The mentor turns awareness into action. Then we have animal archetype stories. This is where the system becomes symbolic and practical. The deer feels, the owl decodes, the wolf rebuilds, the eagle rises, the lion leads. These stories are practical wisdom. They teach emotional intelligence and discernment through story, because the soul remembers what the mind might resist. This channel is for people rebuilding from truth. It's for those learning boundaries after years of people-pleasing. It is for the person who wants emotional intelligence, not just reaction. It is for the person who has outgrown false peace and wants to lead from truth. It is for the person who knows there's more to life than survival. But let me say who this channel is not for. It is not for people who want to avoid accountability. It is not for those who want spiritual language without emotional maturity. Integrity444 is compassionate but not passive. It is healing but not denial. It is strategic but not cold. It is about truth with structure and healing with accountability. One of the biggest problems we address is divided living. A divided life is when your spirit knows one thing, but your choices keep doing another. Your body says no, but your mouth says yes. Your values say peace, but your habits entertain chaos. Your truth says boundary, but your fear keeps explaining. That is divided living. Divided living creates pressure. That pressure shows up in the body, the mind, and your sleep. The truth you ignore does not disappear. It becomes pressure. Alignment is the decision to stop living divided. Alignment is not perfection, it is correction. It's when your words, choices, and direction begin to agree. Practice truth until it becomes structure. Healing is not becoming hard. It is not armor. Armor protects you for a season, but it cannot be your home. Healing is not pretending it didn't hurt. It is not rushing forgiveness or reopening the door to prove you're over it. Healing begins when you stop abandoning the part of you that still needs compassion. Tell the truth gently. Emotional intelligence is not just knowing how you feel. It is understanding what your feelings are connected to, the pattern, the behavior, the trigger. Many are emotionally aware but not disciplined. They let the feeling drive the car. The counselor path asks, what is the pattern? What does this cost me? What new choice honors who I am becoming? Name the pattern to grow beyond it. EFV teaches that atmosphere matters. Attention is access. Every open door affects your energy. Who you allow into your time, phone, and mind affects your frequency. Audit access from stewardship, not bitterness. Ask, who leaves me clear? Who extracts life? Energy protection is about becoming unavailable to what makes you abandon yourself. Guard the atmosphere. Purpose needs structure. You cannot build it on emotion alone. Structure keeps the fire from burning out. The mentor teaches you to stop waiting to feel ready. Readiness is built after obedience. Your future needs one faithful structure: discipline, energy budgets, execution. Self-mastery is practical. It's what your calendar proves after the feeling fades. Keep the promise. Every week, we release long-form teaching sessions and punchy shorts. If you want structure and language to rebuild your life from truth, subscribe now. Start with the path that speaks to your season. If you're wounded, start with the healer. If you're called, start with the mentor. If you don't know where to begin, start with LTQS. Build the pillar before the pressure comes. Welcome to Integrity444. Welcome back to Integrity444 LTQS/EFV. I'm Coach Christian. In part 1, we introduced the foundation of Integrity444. We talked about LTQS. Listen, tell the truth, choose wisely, stay aligned. We talked about EFV, energy, frequency, vibration. And we began building the foundation of what Integrity444 is really about. Healing deeper, growing wiser, protecting your energy, walking your path, building on truth. But today, in part 2, we go deeper into the first major path, the healer. The healer is where many people must begin, because before you can rebuild your life, you have to stop abandoning the part of you that is still hurting. Before you can walk in purpose, you have to tell the truth about the pain you have been carrying. Before you can protect your energy, you have to notice where your body has been silently paying the price. Before you can lead from truth, you have to stop asking the wounded part of you to pretend it is fine. So today's teaching is called the healer path, facing the wound without becoming the wound. And I want you to hold this line as we begin. The wound is real, but it is not your final name. Pause. The wound is real, but it is not your final name. Section 1. The healer begins with truth and compassion. The healer path is not about pretending you were not hurt. It is not about spiritual bypassing. It is not about saying, I'm healed, while your nervous system is still carrying unspoken pain. It is not about rushing grief. It is not about shaming yourself for still feeling something. And it is not about building an identity around the wound forever. The healer path begins with two things: truth and compassion. Truth says, this happened, this hurt me, this changed me, this affected my body, this affected my trust, this affected my decisions, this affected the way I see myself, this affected the way I show up in relationships. But compassion says, I do not have to attack myself for being affected. I do not have to shame the part of me that survived. I do not have to rush the part of me that is still catching up. I do not have to hate myself for needing time. That is the healer. The healer does not lie about the pain. But the healer also does not let pain become the only truth. Because yes, the wound is real, but so is your capacity to heal. Yes, the betrayal was real, but so is your ability to rebuild discernment. Yes, the grief was real, but so is your ability to return to yourself. Yes, the confusion was real, but so is your ability to become clear. The wound is real, but it is not your final name. Section 2. Stop asking the wound to perform strength. Many people are exhausted because they keep asking the wounded part of themselves to perform strength. They get up, they work, they answer messages, they care for children, they show up for family, they meet responsibilities, they smile in public, they keep producing, they keep functioning. But underneath the function, there is a part of them that is still saying, I am tired, I am hurt, I am confused, I am grieving, I do not feel safe yet. I do not know how to trust myself yet. I need someone to stop rushing me. I need someone to stop calling my pain weakness. I need someone to stop telling me to get over what I have not fully processed. And sometimes the person rushing you is not someone else. Sometimes it is you. Sometimes you are the one saying, I should be over this by now. I should be stronger. I should not still care. I should not still cry. I should not still remember. I should have known better. I should have left sooner. I should have spoken up earlier. But shame does not heal pain. Shame does not restore the nervous system. Shame does not build self-trust. Shame only teaches the wounded part of you to hide. So the healer says, stop asking the wound to perform strength. Let the wound tell the truth. Let the wound breed. Let the wound be witnessed, not worshipped, witnessed. There is a difference. To witness the wound is to say, I see what happened. I honor what it cost me. I will not deny the impact. I will not mock my own pain. I will not abandon myself again just because someone else was uncomfortable with my healing. But to worship the wound is to let it become your identity. The healer does not worship the wound. The healer witnesses the wound, then gently leads the self back to truth, safety, and alignment. Section 3. Healing begins with return. Healing begins with return. Return to your body. Return to your breath. Return to your voice. Return to your truth. Return to your discernment. Return to the part of you that got buried under survival. A lot of people think healing begins when they finally get the apology, when they finally get validation, when the person who hurt them finally admits what happened, when the family finally understands, when the friend finally sees it, when the relationship finally makes sense. But your healing cannot wait for someone else's maturity. Let me say that again. Healing cannot wait for the apology. Accountability matters. Truth matters. Repair matters. But if your healing depends on another person becoming honest, then your healing remains in their hands. And some people are not confused. They are committed. Committed to the story that protects them. Committed to the image that benefits them. Committed to the denial that keeps them from accountability. Committed to the pattern that gives them access without responsibility. So the healer says, do not leave your healing at the door of someone who benefits from your delay. You can begin returning to yourself before they understand. You can begin telling the truth before they validate it. You can begin protecting your peace before they agree with your boundary. You can begin healing before closure arrives. Closure is helpful, but return is necessary. And sometimes the closure is this. I finally believe what I lived through. I finally stop arguing with my own body. I finally stop asking unsafe people to validate safe truth. I finally stop waiting for the person who hurt me to approve my healing. That is return. Section 4. The body often knows before the mind has language. The healer also teaches you to listen to the body. Your body may have known before your mind had language. The tight chest, the stomach drop, the shallow breathing, the headache after the conversation, the exhaustion after the visit, the heaviness after the message, the tension before walking into the room, the sudden loss of peace, the over-explaining, the shutdown, the freezing, the constant scanning for tone. You may have called it anxiety, you may have called it being dramatic, you may have called it overthinking, you may have even blamed yourself for being sensitive, but sometimes sensitivity is not weakness. Sometimes sensitivity is data. Now let me be precise. Every feeling is not a final conclusion. Every emotion is not automatically the whole truth, but every repeated signal deserves attention. The body is not always giving you the final interpretation, but it is often telling you something needs care here, something needs clarity here, something needs safety here, something needs truth here. Something needs a boundary here. The healer does not teach you to panic over every feeling. The healer teaches you to listen with compassion and discernment. Ask, what is my body trying to tell me? What pattern does this remind me of? What truth have I been avoiding? What kind of safety do I need right now? What would it look like to honor this signal without letting fear take over? That is emotional intelligence. Not ignoring the body, not being ruled by the body, listening to the body and bringing wisdom to the signal. That is the healer path. Section 5. Tears are not weakness. There is a kind of grief that shows up when the room gets quiet. You may hold it together all day. Then at night, when no one is asking anything from you, the tears come. In the car, in the shower, at the edge of the bed, after the phone call, after the court date, after the conversation, after the memory, after doing everything you had to do and realizing you are still caring more than people know. And I want you to hear this. Your tears are not proof that you are weak. They may be proof that your body is finally telling the truth. Sometimes tears are not breakdown. Sometimes tears are release. Sometimes tears are the body saying, I held this long enough. Sometimes tears are the nervous system discharging what the mouth could not say. Sometimes tears are the soul refusing to keep pretending. So do not shame every tear. Ask what the tear is carrying. Is it grief? Is it exhaustion? Is it betrayal? Is it relief? Is it truth? Is it the sadness of finally admitting that something was never what you hoped it would be? The healer does not say, stop crying. The healer asks, what is the tear telling the truth about? Because healing begins where truth is finally allowed to breathe. Section 6. Compassion is not denial. Now let's be clear. Compassion is not denial. Compassion does not mean you excuse what happened. Compassion does not mean you keep giving access. Compassion does not mean you minimize the pattern. Compassion does not mean you call harm growth. Compassion does not mean you abandon accountability. Compassion means you stop turning the weapon inward. It means you stop using your own pain as evidence against yourself. It means you stop saying, I was stupid, I was weak, I was blind, I was foolish, I deserved this. No. The healer says, you were surviving with the tools you had. Now, you were learning new tools. You were making sense of things from the level of safety, support, knowledge, and strength you had at the time. Now you are building more truth, more discernment, more structure, more self-trust. Compassion creates the room where truth can finally be held. And once truth can be held, healing can begin. Section 7. The healer practice, the return practice. Now I want to give you a simple practice. This is called the return practice. Use this when you feel overwhelmed. Use this when grief rises. Use this when you feel tempted to shame yourself. Use this when you want to reopen a wound just to get validation. Use this when your body is carrying more than your mouth can explain. First, place one hand on your heart. If you feel safe, place the other hand on your stomach. Take one slow breath. Inhale. Exhale. Then say, I'm here. I believe what I lived through. I do not have to solve everything right now. I do not have to perform strength right now. I can tell the truth gently. I can grieve without becoming the grief. I can rest without betraying my healing. I can return to myself one breath at a time. Now ask yourself 4 questions. Question 1. What part of me is hurting right now? Question 2. What truth have I been afraid to name? Question 3. What does this part of me need to hear? Question 4. What is one thing I can do today that does not abandon me? Not 10 things, one thing. Maybe it is drinking water. Maybe it is turning the phone off. Maybe it is not responding to the message. Maybe it is writing 1 page. Maybe it is taking a walk. Maybe it is praying. Maybe it is resting. Maybe it is saying, I will not reopen the wound tonight. Maybe it is saying, I will not explain myself to someone committed to misunderstanding me. Maybe it is saying, I will protect my peace for the next hour. Healing is not always dramatic. Sometimes healing is one small act of not abandoning yourself. Section 8. The Healer Path and Integrity 444. The Healer Path connects directly to Integrity 444 because healing without truth becomes avoidance, and truth without compassion can become self-attack. Integrity requires both truth and compassion, structure and tenderness, discernment and patience. The healer helps you listen. Listen to the wound, listen to the body, listen to the grief, listen to the signal. Then the healer helps you tell the truth. This hurt, this mattered, this affected me, this pattern cost me something. Then the healer prepares you to choose wisely. Not from shame, not from panic, not from revenge, but from restored dignity. And finally, the healer helps you stay aligned, because healing is not just what you feel, healing is what you practice. It is how you stop abandoning yourself. It is how you stop giving access to what keeps reopening the wound. It is how you stop asking your pain to be quiet, so other people can stay comfortable. That is why the healer is not weakness. The healer is sacred strength. Softness with truth, compassion with boundaries, grief with dignity, tenderness with structure. Closing. So if you are on the healer path, I want you to remember this. You do not have to rush. You do not have to pretend. You do not have to shame yourself. You do not have to wait for the apology. You do not have to make the wound your identity. You do not have to perform strength every day. You can return, one breath at a time, one truth at a time, one boundary at a time, one act of self-compassion at a time. The wound is real, but it is not your final name. If this teaching speaks to where you are right now, comment healer. If you are returning to yourself, comment return. And if you are walking the Integrity 444 path, subscribe and continue with part 3, where we move into the counselor path, naming the pattern without shame. I'm Coach Christian. This is Integrity 444 LTQS/EFV. Heal softly. Tell the truth completely. And remember, the wound is real, but it is not your final name. Welcome back to Integrity 444 LTQS/EFV. I'm Coach Christian. In part 1, we introduced the foundation of Integrity 444, LTQS. Listen, tell the truth, choose wisely, stay aligned. EFV. Energy, frequency, vibration. In part 2, we entered the healer path. We talked about facing the wound without becoming the wound. We talked about the truth that the wound is real, but it is not your final name. Now, in part 3, we move into the next path, the counselor. The healer helps you face the wound. The counselor helps you understand the pattern. Because healing without pattern recognition can leave you vulnerable to repetition. You may feel better for a season. You may cry less. You may start breathing again. You may feel more hopeful. But if you do not understand the pattern, you may walk back into the same cycle with new language but old behavior. That is why the counselor path matters. The counselor helps you stop calling repetition coincidence. The counselor helps you stop blaming yourself without understanding the mechanism. The counselor helps you stop confusing shame with accountability. The counselor helps you ask the deeper question, what keeps happening? Today's teaching is called The Counselor Path, Naming the Pattern Without Shame. And I want you to hold this line. Patterns are data, not drama, not overthinking, not negativity. Data. Section 1. The counselor begins with observation. The counselor path begins with observation, not reaction, not panic, not self-attack, observation. The counselor asks, what happened? What keeps happening? What is the pattern? What is the cost? What does my body feel when this happens? What do I usually do in response? What does my response protect me from? What does my response cost me? Where did I learn this? What new choice would honor who I am becoming? That is the counselor. The counselor does not rush to shame you. The counselor does not say, how could you let this happen? The counselor says, let's study the pattern. Let's understand the mechanism. Let's identify the repetition. Let's separate your identity from the behavior. Let's find the point where awareness can become a new choice. Because many people do not stay stuck because they are weak. They stay stuck because the pattern has not been named clearly enough. And what you cannot name, you often keep repeating. Section 2. Self-awareness hurts before it heals. One of the first truths of the counselor path is this. Self-awareness hurts before it heals, because it interrupts denial. Before awareness, you can explain things away. You can call disrespect a bad day. You can call manipulation confusion. You can call inconsistency potential. You can call exhaustion loyalty. You can call silence peace. You can call self-abandonment love. You can call chaos passion. You can call over-explaining communication. You can call the pattern complicated because naming it clearly would require a decision. But once awareness comes, you cannot fully unsee what you now see. That is why awareness can hurt at first. It is not because awareness is harming you. It is because awareness is telling the truth about what denial helped you survive. And we need to be honest about that. Denial is not always stupidity. Sometimes denial was survival. Sometimes denial helped you function in a situation you did not yet have the safety, strength, money, support, language, or emotional capacity to leave. Sometimes denial helped you keep going. Sometimes denial protected you from feeling everything at once. But denial has a cost. Eventually, what denial helped you avoid, maturity asks you to face. That is why self-awareness can feel painful. You are not just seeing them differently, you are seeing yourself differently. You may begin to realize, I ignored my body, I dismissed my intuition, I explained the same thing too many times, I called the pattern a misunderstanding, I kept hoping potential would become evidence. I stayed loyal to someone who was not responsible with my access. I confused being needed with being loved. I abandoned myself to keep peace. That kind of awareness can hurt, but pain does not always mean punishment. Sometimes, pain is the feeling of truth entering a place where denial used to live. Section 3. Shame versus conviction. Now this is where the counselor becomes very important, because once you become self-aware, you have a choice. You can use awareness to shame yourself, or you can use awareness to mature. Those are not the same thing. Shame says, something is wrong with me. Conviction says, something needs to change. Shame attacks identity. Conviction corrects direction. Shame says, I am stupid. Conviction says, I ignored a pattern and now I can choose differently. Shame says, I am broken. Conviction says, I am wounded and I need healing. Shame says, I wasted my life. Conviction says, I learned something that can change my future. Shame says, I cannot trust myself anymore. Conviction says, I must rebuild self-trust through truthful choices. This difference matters because a lot of people enter self-awareness and collapse into self-hatred. They say, how did I not see it? Why did I stay? Why did I explain so much? Why did I tolerate that? Why did I keep hoping? Why did I ignore the warning? Those questions can become weapons if you use them to attack yourself, but they can become wisdom if you use them to understand the pattern. The counselor does not ask those questions to condemn you. The counselor asks those questions to locate the doorway.
Section 4. Patterns are data. The counselor teaches patterns are data. When the same apology leads to the same injury, study the pattern. When the same conversation leads to the same confusion, study the pattern. When the same person creates the same emotional atmosphere, study the pattern. When the same access costs the same peace, study the pattern. When the same promise keeps producing the same disappointment, study the pattern. When the same cycle repeats after every temporary calm, study the pattern. The question is not only what happened, the question is what keeps happening. That is the counselor's question. What keeps happening after the apology? What keeps happening after the promise? What keeps happening after the emotional conversation? What keeps happening after you explain yourself? What keeps happening after you give another chance? What keeps happening after you ignore your body? What keeps happening after you silence your truth? This question protects you from getting trapped in isolated incidents, because if you only look at one incident, you may minimize it. You may say, maybe they were tired, maybe they did not mean it, maybe I misunderstood, maybe I am being too sensitive, maybe this time will be different. But patterns reveal what isolated incidents can hide. The pattern is where the truth gathers evidence. Section 5. Confusion can be a strategy. Now let's go deeper. Confusion is not always accidental. Sometimes confusion is a strategy. Not every confusing situation is innocent. Sometimes confusion is created so you stay busy explaining what should have been respected. Sometimes a person keeps changing the story so you never get to address the pattern. Sometimes the issue keeps shifting so accountability never lands. Sometimes the conversation becomes so tangled that you leave questioning your own memory, your own tone, your own reaction, instead of examining what actually happened. That is why clarity is protection. The counselor teaches you to stop fighting inside every detail and step back to the pattern. Ask, what keeps happening? What is the outcome? Who benefits from the confusion? What happens when I stop explaining? What happens when I ask for accountability instead of more conversation? What happens when I remove access? This is not about becoming suspicious of everyone. It is about becoming honest about repetition. You do not need paranoia. You need pattern recognition. You do not need to accuse everyone. You need to observe the fruit. Because a healthy person may make a mistake, but they can participate in repair. They can listen. They can take responsibility. They can change behavior. They can respect clarity. But a repeated pattern of confusion, blame shifting, denial, and emotional reversal is not the same as a simple misunderstanding. The counselor helps you know the difference. Section 6. Awareness is the doorway. Maturity is the walk. Another core teaching of the counselor path is this. Awareness is the doorway. Maturity is the walk. A lot of people become aware and think awareness is the finish line. They say, I know what happened. I know the tactic. I know the wound. I know the trigger. I know the pattern. I know the cycle. But the awareness is not the same as transformation. Awareness shows you the room you're standing in. Maturity helps you walk out. You can understand manipulation and still keep responding to it. You can understand trauma bonds and still keep checking the phone. You can understand boundaries and still keep over-explaining yourself. You can understand emotional intelligence and still let emotional pressure control your choices. You can understand energy leaks and still keep giving access. That is why maturity matters. Maturity asks, what will I do differently now that I see clearly? What boundary must follow this awareness? What decision must align with this truth? What behavior can no longer come with me? What old agreement must end? What new structure must begin? Awareness without action can become another form of delay. You keep studying the pattern, but never changing the path. You keep naming the wound, but never protecting the healed version of you. You keep understanding the problem, but not practicing the solution. Maturity is not perfection. Maturity is the willingness to choose differently after truth arrives. Section 7. The
the counselor and emotional intelligence. Section 7. The counselor and emotional intelligence. The counselor part is deeply connected to emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is not just being able to name feelings. It is being able to understand what feelings are signaling, regulate them wisely, and choose behavior that aligns with truth. Many people confuse emotional intelligence with emotional expression, but expression alone is not mastery. Being able to say, I am hurt is important, but emotional intelligence also asks, what am I going to do with that hurt? Will I attack? Will I collapse? Will I explain too much? Will I chase validation? Will I abandon myself? Will I pause and listen? Will I tell the truth? Will I choose wisely? Will I stay aligned? This is where LTQS comes back in. Listen, tell the truth, choose wisely, stay aligned. The counselor helps you listen to the emotion without letting the emotion become the driver. The emotion is a messenger, not always the master. Your anger may be saying, a boundary was crossed. Your sadness may be saying, something mattered. Your fear may be saying, I need safety. Your confusion may be saying, the pattern needs clarity. Your exhaustion may be saying, I have been overgiving. Your resentment may be saying, I have been violating my own limits. The counselor does not shame the emotion. The counselor interprets the message, then chooses the next wise step. Section 8. The counselor practice, pattern audit. Now I want to give you a practice. This is called the pattern audit. Choose one recurring situation, not 10, one. One relationship, one habit, one emotional cycle, one repeated conflict, one energy leak, one pattern you keep seeing. Then answer these questions. Question 1. What keeps happening? Do not explain it away. Describe the repetition. Question 2. What do I feel when it happens? Name the emotional and physical response. Question 3. What do I usually do in response? Do I explain? Do I withdraw? Do I chase? Do I freeze? Do I apologize too quickly? Do I overfunction? Do I become silent? Do I react? Question 4. What does my response protect me from? Maybe it protects you from conflict, maybe from abandonment, maybe from guilt, maybe from being misunderstood, maybe from feeling powerless. Question 5. What does my response cost me? Peace, energy, self-respect, time, focus, clarity, confidence. Question 6. Where did I learn this response? Family, childhood, a past relationship, a survival season, a workplace, a religious environment, a crisis? Question 7. What truth have I been avoiding? This is where the pattern begins to lose power. Question 8. What wise choice would interrupt the pattern? Question 9. What boundary would protect the new choice? Because a new choice without protection can collapse under pressure. Question 10. What support or structure do I need to stay aligned? This is how pattern recognition becomes growth, not through shame, through clarity. Section 9. The Counselor Path and Integrity 444. Section 9. The Counselor Path and Integrity 444. The Counselor Path is essential to Integrity 444 because integrity requires truth, not just emotional truth, pattern truth, behavioral truth, relational truth, energetic truth. You cannot stay aligned with what you refuse to name. You cannot choose wisely while calling repetition coincidence. You cannot protect your energy while denying what keeps draining it. You cannot build self-trust while ignoring the evidence your life keeps giving you. The counselor helps you become precise, not cold, precise. Precision is compassion. Precision is compassion when confusion has cost you too much. Precision says, this is the pattern, this is the cost, this is my response, this is what I learned, this is what must change. This is the new choice, this is the boundary, this is the structure. That is how awareness becomes maturity. And that is why the counselor comes after the healer, because once the wound has been witnessed, the pattern must be named. Closing. So if you are walking the counselor path, remember this: you are not here to shame yourself. You are here to study the pattern. You are not here to attack your identity. You are here to correct direction. You are not here to drown in regret. You are here to build wisdom from what you survived. You are not here to call everything your fault. You are here to understand where your choices and fears may have participated. That is maturity. That is emotional intelligence. That is Integrity 444. So comment counselor if this is your path. Comment pattern if you are ready to stop calling repetition coincidence. And continue with part 4, where we move into the mental path, turning awareness into structure. I'm Coach Christian. This is Integrity 444 LTQS/EFV. Name the pattern, grow beyond it, and remember, awareness is the doorway, maturity is the walk. Welcome back to Integrity 444 LTQS/EFV. I'm Coach Christian. In part 1, we introduced the foundation of Integrity 444. We talked about LTQS. Listen, tell the truth, choose wisely, stay aligned. We talked about EFV, energy, frequency, vibration. In part 2, we entered the healer path. The healer helps you face the wound without becoming the wound. A lighthouse beam cutting through fog. Text overlay. Part 3. The counselor path. Now in part 4, we move into the mentor path. And the mentor asks a different question. The healer asks, what is hurting? The counselor asks, what is the pattern? But the mentor asks, what are you going to build now? Because awareness is powerful, healing is sacred. Pattern recognition is necessary, but at some point, the work has to become structure. At some point, the truth has to become a decision. At some point, the decision has to become a rhythm. At some point, the rhythm has to become evidence. And at some point, your future self needs proof. You are no longer just talking about change, you are building it. Today's teaching is the mentor path, and I want you to hold this line. Your future does not need more fantasy. It needs one faithful structure. Your future does not need more fantasy. It needs one faithful structure. Section 1. The mentor begins after awareness. The mentor path begins after awareness, because awareness alone is not transformation. Awareness is the doorway. Maturity is the walk. You can know the wound and still keep living from it. You can name the pattern and still keep repeating it. You can understand your triggers and still let them make decisions for you. You can know you need boundaries and still over-explain. That is why the mentor path matters. The mentor takes the truth and asks, how would this become structure? How would this become a new rhythm? How would this become a life that can carry who you are becoming? The mentor is here to help you become trustworthy to yourself again. Self-trust is rebuilt by promises you keep. Section 2. Calling requires structure. One of the central teachings is this. Your calling requires structure. A lot of people are inspired. They have ideas, they have dreams, they have vision, they have gifts. But inspiration alone cannot carry purpose. Inspiration can start the fire. Structure keeps it from burning out. That is why many gifted people stay frustrated. Not because they have no calling, but because it has no container. But then the week arrives. The schedule takes over, distraction takes over, and the calling stays in the imagination. The mentor says, do not just feel called, build a structure that can carry the calling. Because if your calling has no rhythm, it will keep depending on your mood. If it has no protected time, it gets interrupted. So the mentor asks, where is the structure? Where is the rhythm? Where is the protected time? Where is the evidence? Section 3. Stop waiting for confidence. Build evidence. A lot of people wait to feel confident before they move. They say, I will start when I feel ready. I will build when I feel clear. I will change when I feel stronger. But confidence does not always come before action. Sometimes confidence is the evidence that action leaves behind. You trust yourself more when you keep a promise, when you finish the task, when you show up on the hard day. You trust yourself more when you choose discipline after emotion fades, when you protect the boundary after guilt arrives. So stop asking, when will I feel confident? Start asking, what evidence can I build today? Not next year, today. Can I keep one promise? Protect 1 hour? Write 1 page? Set 1 boundary? Choose 1 action? That is the mentor path. Section 4. A boundary is only real when behavior protects it. A boundary is not only what you say. A boundary is what your behavior protects. Because a boundary without behavior becomes a speech. With behavior, it's structure. If you say you are not available for disrespect, but you keep attending every disrespectful conversation, it has no structure. The mentor says, do not just announce the boundary. Build the life that can maintain it. Change your schedule, access, and environment. Many boundaries fail because the old version of you still feels responsible for managing their reaction. Practice alignment after pressure arrives. Section 5. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is protection. It protects your calling from your mood. In Integrity444, discipline is not self-hatred. Discipline is self-respect in motion. It says, I care about my future enough to build today. I care about my peace enough to protect access. My calling enough to give it time. My integrity enough to keep the promise. Yes, honor your feelings, but do not let every feeling become the leader of your life. Emotions are messengers, not always masters. Section 6. From survivor rhythm to sovereign rhythm. A survivor rhythm is reactive. You wake up and respond to the world. Messages, demands, pressure, noise. By the end of the day, you are tired, but you cannot name what you built. A sovereign rhythm is intentional. It means your life has protected structure, a time to work, to build, to heal, to rest. The mentor asks, is your rhythm built around your calling or around everybody else's access? Does your calendar show what you say matters? Section 7. The mentor and self-trust. Self-trust is not rebuilt by thinking about trust. It is rebuilt by practicing truth. Every time you tell yourself the truth and honor it, self-trust grows. Every time your behavior proves your words matter, it grows. The mentor starts small. Many people try to rebuild their whole life overnight and collapse. The problem is setting a promise too large. Start with 1 faithful structure, 1 morning rhythm, 1 reset, 1 weekly session, 1 boundary script. That is how self-trust is rebuilt. Section 8. The calling structure audit. Use this when you feel called but scattered. Question 1. What is the assignment in this season? Question 2. What weekly rhythm protects this assignment? If it is not on the calendar, it is vulnerable to distraction. Question 3. What must lose access for this rhythm to survive? A habit, a person, a distraction, an emotional agreement. Question 4. What is the smallest promise I can keep? Question 5. How will I measure evidence? This is how awareness becomes structure. Section 9. The mental path and Integrity444. Integrity has to become visible. It is not just something you believe. Your calendar shows integrity. Your boundaries, habits, and discipline show integrity. Your follow-through shows integrity. The mentor brings LTQS into action. Listen. What is the assignment? Tell the truth. Where is my life not structured? Choose wisely. What decision protects? So if you are walking the mentor path, remember this. You do not need to rebuild your whole life today. You need 1 faithful structure. Do not wait until you feel fully confident. Build evidence. Practice alignment under pressure. Protect the assignment. If this teaching speaks to you, comment mentor. If you are ready to turn awareness into structure, comment structure. Continue with part 5, the Animal Archetype System. I'm Coach Christian. This is Integrity444. Walk the path, keep the promise. And remember, your future does not need more fantasy. It needs one faithful structure. Welcome back to Integrity444 LTQS/EFV. I'm Coach Christian. In part 1, we introduced the foundation of Integrity444. We talked about LTQS, listen, tell the truth, choose wisely, stay aligned, and EFV, energy, frequency, vibration. In part 2, we entered the healer part. The healer helps you face the wound without becoming the wound. In part 3, we entered the counselor part. The counselor helps you name the pattern without shame. In part 4, we entered the mentor part. The mentor helps you turn awareness into structure. Now, in part 5, we bring the whole Integrity444 path into a symbolic teaching system, the Animal Archetype System. This system uses 5 archetypes: the deer, the owl, the wolf, the eagle, the lion. Each one represents a different part of the self and a different kind of wisdom. The master line is this: the deer feels, the owl decodes, the wolf rebuilds, the eagle rises, the lion leads. This is not just a phrase, it is a map. The deer feels, the owl decodes, the wolf rebuilds, the eagle rises, the lion leads. Section 1. Why animal archetypes matter. Animal archetypes work because they help us remember truth through image, story, and symbol. Sometimes the mind resists direct instruction, but the soul remembers story. The nervous system remembers image. The imagination remembers symbol. That is why teaching through archetypes is powerful. You can hear a principle once and forget it, but when you attach that principle to a picture, it becomes easier to carry. When you hear the deer feels, you remember sensitivity, you remember the body. When you hear the owl decodes, you remember pattern recognition, you remember observation. When you hear the wolf rebuilds, you remember structure, you remember discipline. When you hear the eagle rises, you remember higher perspective, you remember energy. When you hear the lion leads, you remember truth, you remember sovereignty, you remember alignment under pressure. The Animal Archetype System gives language to your growth. Some seasons require softness, some require discipline. Wisdom is knowing which part of you must come forward. Section 2. The deer, the healer. The first archetype is the deer. The deer represents the healer. The deer is sensitivity, compassion, body wisdom, sacred feeling. The deer feels. The deer notices what others may overlook. The deer senses the shift in the room. The deer feels the heaviness after a conversation. The deer notices when the body tightens. The deer senses when something is not safe. The deer carries emotional intelligence before there is language. But the deer must be protected, because sensitivity without boundaries becomes exhaustion. Compassion without discernment becomes overgiving. Feeling without structure becomes overwhelm. The deer is not weak. The deer is receptive. But receptivity needs protection. If you are walking in the deer archetype, you may be in a season where your body is trying to tell the truth. You may be feeling the wound. You may be grieving. You may be learning that your sensitivity is not something to hate. It is something to understand. The deer asks, what am I feeling? What is my body trying to tell me? Where do I need compassion? Where do I need safety? Where have I confused sensitivity with weakness? The deer teaches, your sensitivity is not weakness, it is data. But data must be interpreted with wisdom. That is why the deer needs the owl. Section 3. The owl, the counselor. The second archetype is the owl. The owl represents the counselor. The owl is wisdom, pattern recognition, observation. The owl decodes. The owl does not rush into every reaction. The owl watches. The owl studies repetition. The owl asks, what keeps happening? What is the pattern? What is the fruit? What is the mechanism? What is being avoided? What is being repeated? What is the outcome? The owl helps the deer understand what it feels. Without the owl, the deer may become overwhelmed. With the owl, sensitivity becomes wisdom. The deer may say, I feel unsafe. The owl asks, what pattern is creating that signal? The deer may say, I feel drained. The owl asks, where is the energy leak? The deer may say, I feel confused. The owl asks, who benefits from this confusion? The owl does not shame the feeling. The owl studies the pattern. The owl asks you to stop calling repetition coincidence. You may be realizing isolated incidents were actually patterns. The owl teaches, patterns are data, not drama. But the owl must be careful. Observation without action can become delay. You can analyze forever and never move. That is why the owl needs the wolf. Section 4. The wolf, the mentor. The third archetype is the wolf. The wolf represents the mentor. The wolf is discipline, structure, path, rebuilding. The wolf rebuilds. The wolf does not only feel the wound or name the pattern. The wolf asks, what path must change now? What structure must be built? What promise must be kept? What boundary must be protected? What rhythm must be established? The wolf turns awareness into action. Self-trust is rebuilt by kept promises. The wolf says, stop waiting for confidence, build evidence. Your future does not need more fantasy, it needs one faithful structure. A boundary is only real when behavior protects it. If you are in the wolf archetype, you may be in a season where you are rebuilding, learning discipline, protecting your schedule. You are becoming trustworthy to yourself again. The wolf asks, what promise does my future self need me to keep? What structure protects the assignment? What must lose access for this path to survive? What rhythm would help me stay aligned? The wolf teaches, walk the path, keep the promise. But discipline without perspective can become pressure. Action without atmosphere can become burnout. That is why the wolf needs the ego. Section 5. The ego. EFV. Energy, frequency, vibration. The ego is higher perspective, energy protection, atmosphere, signal clarity, vision, discernment. The ego rises. The ego sees from above. When you are too close to the noise, everything is confusing. But when you rise, you see the pattern from a higher view. The ego rises. The eagle asks, what is the atmosphere? Where's my energy leaking? What frequency am I tuning into? What am I carrying that is not mine? What signal must I protect? The eagle teaches, your attention is sacred currency. Not everything deserves access to your atmosphere. Not every conflict deserves your nervous system. Not every opinion deserves residence in your mind. The ego helps you protect the signal. You may be in a season of learning energy protection, learning that attention is access. The eagle says, guard the atmosphere, protect the signal, rise high enough to see clearly. But perspective without grounded action can become avoidance. You can rise above everything and never build anything on the ground. You can talk about energy and never practice discipline. That is why the eagle needs the lion. Section 6. The lion. LTQS. The fifth archetype is the lion. The lion represents LTQS. Leadership, truth, sovereignty, and alignment. The lion leads, but not from noise or performance. The lion leads from truth. The lion listens first, then tells the truth, then chooses wisely, then stays aligned. The lion represents the part of you that must stop negotiating with what you know is true. The lion leads your own life. The lion asks, what is true? What is wise? What protects the whole? The lion teaches, a boundary is not betrayal. A boundary is truth with structure. False peace protects the pattern. True peace protects the people. Sovereignty is self-governance under truth. It is the ability to belong to yourself without being ruled by pressure. To love without self-abandonment. To choose truth without becoming cruel. The lion says, stay aligned. Stay aligned when pressure comes, when guilt comes, when the old pattern calls, when someone calls your boundary disrespect. The lion leads. The lion leads from truth. Section 7. How the 5 archetypes work together. The deer feels. The owl decodes. The wolf rebuilds. The eagle rises. The lion leads. No single part of you should govern the whole life alone.
If only the deer leads, you become overwhelmed. If only the owl leads, you analyze forever but stay stuck. If only the wolf leads, you mistake motion for healing. If only the eagle leads, you avoid grounded responsibility. If only the lion leads, you may forget to listen deeply. Wholeness requires integration. The deer brings compassion. The owl brings clarity. The wolf brings structure. The eagle brings perspective. The lion brings leadership. This is the Integrity 444 path. Not one-dimensional growth, integrated growth. Healing, pattern recognition, structure, energy protection, sovereignty, integration. Section 8. Which archetype do you need right now? Do you need the deer to slow down and honor what you feel? Do you need the owl to stop reacting and start observing? Do you need the wolf to stop talking and build structure? Do you need the eagle to rise above the noise? Do you need the lion to tell the truth and lead? There is no wrong answer, only the wisdom your season requires. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is feel. Sometimes it is to observe, rebuild, rise, or lead. Wisdom is knowing the difference. Honor the wisdom of your season. Section 9. The Animal Archetype Practice. The 5 Archetype Check-in. Use this when you feel overwhelmed, stuck, or divided. Ask yourself, deer, what am I feeling? Owl, what pattern am I noticing? Wolf, what structure would help me? Eagle, where is my energy leaking? Lion, what truth must lead? Pause. Do not rush the answers. Write them down. One line for each archetype, bringing the whole self into agreement. Healing is not just emotional. Growth is not just mental. Purpose is not just action. Energy protection is not just distance. Leadership is not just strength. Wholeness is integration. The deer feels. The owl decodes. The wolf rebuilds. The eagle rises. The lion leads. Choose your archetype and comment below. I'm Coach Christian. This is Integrity444 LTQS/EFV. Choose your path. Honor the wisdom of your season. In part 6, we will bring everything together. Choose your path. And remember, the deer feels, the owl decodes, the wolf rebuilds, the eagle rises, the lion leads. Welcome back to Integrity444 LTQS/EFV. I'm Coach Christian. This is part 6 of the Start Here series. In part 1, we introduced the foundation of Integrity444. We talked about LTQS. Listen, tell the truth, choose wisely, stay aligned. We talked about EFV. Energy, frequency, vibration. In part 2, we entered the healer path. In part 3, we entered the counselor path. In part 4, we entered the mentor path. In part 5, we introduced the Animal Archetype System. The deer, the owl, the wolf, the eagle, the lion. The deer feels, the owl decodes, the wolf rebuilds, the eagle rises, the lion leads. Now, in part 6, we bring everything together. Because Integrity444 is not just a collection of ideas, it is a path, it is a structure. It is a way of returning to yourself, understanding your patterns, protecting your energy, rebuilding your life, and leading from truth. Today's teaching is called Full Integration, how the Integrity444 path works together. And I want you to hold this line. Wholeness is when the wound, the pattern, the path, the energy, and the truth come into agreement. Wholeness is when the wound, the pattern, the path, the energy, and the truth come into agreement. The Integrity444 path has structure, but life does not always move in a straight line. Sometimes you begin with the healer because the wound is loud. Sometimes you begin with the counselor because the pattern is finally becoming clear. Sometimes you begin with the mentor because you already know the truth, but you need structure. Sometimes you begin with EFV because your energy is drained and your atmosphere needs protection. Sometimes you begin with LTQS because you need pillars, and sometimes you need all of them at once. That is why this system matters. It gives you language for your season. It helps you stop asking,
what is wrong with me? And start asking, what part of the path am I in? Am I in a healing season? Am I in a pattern recognition season? Am I in a rebuilding season? Am I in an energy protection season? Am I in a leadership season? That shift matters, because when you do not have language, you may shame yourself. But when you have structure, you can locate yourself. And when you can locate yourself, you can respond with wisdom. Integrity444 gives you a map, not to control your life, but to help you live with more truth, more discernment, more structure, and more alignment. Let's begin with the 3 teaching parts: the healer, the counselor, the mentor. The healer asks, what is hurting? The counselor asks, what is the pattern? The mentor asks, what structure must be built now? Those 3 questions can change your life. What is hurting? What is the pattern? What structure must be built now? A lot of people stop at one stage. Some people only live in the healer. They feel deeply. They cry. They grieve. They process. They talk about the wound. They honor the pain, but they never name the pattern clearly. And because the pattern is not named, the wound keeps getting reopened. Some people only live in the counselor. They analyze everything. They decode. They study behavior. They name tactics. They understand mechanisms. They recognize cycles. But they never turn clarity into structure. So they understand the cage, but never walk out. Some people only live in the mentor. They build, they move, they produce. They discipline themselves. They stay busy. They create structure, but they may skip the wound. They may skip grief. They may skip emotional honesty. And if they are not careful, they build on top of pain that still needs care. Integrity444 brings the 3 together. The healer says, feel it honestly. The counselor says, name it clearly. The mentor says, build from it wisely. That is integration. Not just feeling, not just analyzing, not just doing, feeling, understanding, and building in alignment. LTQS is the pillar system. Listen, tell the truth, choose wisely, stay aligned. Everything in Integrity444 returns to LTQS. When you are in the healer path, LTQS asks, have you listened to the wound? Have you told the truth about what hurt? Have you chosen compassion instead of shame? Are you staying aligned with your healing? When you are in the counselor path, LTQS asks, have you listened to the pattern? Have you told the truth about what keeps happening? Have you chosen clarity instead of confusion? Are you staying aligned with what you now know? When you are in the mentor path, LTQS asks, have you listened to the assignment? Have you told the truth about the structure you need? Have you chosen discipline over distraction? Are you staying aligned when pressure comes? LTQS is not just a slogan. It is a decision-making structure. When you feel confused, return to LTQS. Listen. What is actually happening? Tell the truth. What am I avoiding? Choose wisely. What decision honors truth? Stay aligned. What behavior protects the decision after pressure arrives? That is why I say integrity is not a mood, it is a structure. Step 5. LTQS asks, what does integrity require now? Have I listened? Have I told the truth? Have I chosen wisely? Will I stay aligned? A mood may disappear under pressure. A structure helps you remain aligned under pressure. LTQS gives your life pillars. Now let's bring in EFV. EFV stands for energy, frequency, vibration. If LTQS is the pillar system, EFV is the atmosphere system. LTQS helps you build. EFV helps you protect what you are building. Because it is possible to have a good intention, but a polluted atmosphere. It is possible to have a calling, but keep letting your energy get drained. It is possible to know the truth, but keep tuning into confusion. It is possible to want peace, but keep giving your attention to chaos. That is why EFV matters. Energy is what you carry. Frequency is what you repeatedly tune into. Vibration is what your life begins to emit through your habits, choices, relationships, environment, and emotional state. EFV asks, what am I carrying? What am I repeatedly tuning into? What is this atmosphere producing in me? Does this interaction create clarity or confusion? Does this relationship produce peace or pressure? Does this habit support alignment or drain it? Does this environment help me heal or keep me activated? Does this access honor my future or pull me backward? This is where you must understand. Attention is access. Your attention is sacred currency. Not every conflict deserves your nervous system. Not every message deserves your response. Not every opinion deserves space in your mind. Not every emotional emergency deserves your assignment. Not every old pattern deserves another meeting. EFV teaches you to protect the signal, because when the atmosphere is polluted, alignment becomes harder. When your energy is constantly drained, wisdom becomes harder. When your attention is constantly pulled, discipline becomes harder. When your nervous system is constantly activated, healing becomes harder. So EFV says, guard the atmosphere, protect the signal. Stop leaking energy into what cannot honor your life. Now let's connect the Animal Archetype System. The archetypes give you a simple way to remember the full Integrity444 path. The deer feels, the owl decodes, the wolf rebuilds, the eagle rises, the lion leads. The deer connects to the healer. It reminds you to feel without shame. The owl connects to the counselor. It reminds you to name the pattern without panic. The wolf connects to the mentor. It reminds you to rebuild with structure. The eagle connects to EFV. It reminds you to rise above the noise and protect the atmosphere. The lion connects to LTQS. It reminds you to lead from truth, wisdom, alignment, and sovereignty. This system gives you a practical question. Which archetype do I need right now? If I am overwhelmed, I may need the deer. If I am confused, I may need the owl. If I am inconsistent, I may need the wolf. If I am drained, I may need the eagle. If I am under pressure and need to stand in truth, I may need the lion. The archetypes are not just images, they are mirrors. They help you locate the wisdom required for the moment. The goal is not to become only one archetype. The goal is integration. A whole person can feel. A whole person can observe. A whole person can rebuild. A whole person can rise. A whole person can lead. Now let's put the whole system together. When something happens in your life, Integrity444 gives you a way to process it. Step 1. The healer asks, what am I feeling? Not what should I feel? Not what would make everyone comfortable. What am I actually feeling? Where is this living in my body? What wound does this touch? What part of me needs compassion? Step 2. The counselor asks, what pattern am I noticing? Is this new or is this repetition? What keeps happening? What is the cost? What is the mechanism? What am I learning from the pattern? Step 3. The mentor asks, what structure must change? What boundary is needed? What habit must shift? What schedule must be protected? What behavior must now align with the truth? Step 4. EFV asks, what is happening to my energy? Am I drained? Am I clear? Am I activated? Am I leaking attention? What atmosphere am I allowing? What signal must be protected? Step 5. LTQS asks, what does integrity require now? Have I listened? Have I told the truth? Have I chosen wisely? Will I stay aligned? This is the model. Feel, decode, rebuild, rise, lead. That is the Integrity444 path. This is how you move from survival to sovereignty. Not overnight, not perfectly, but consistently. One truth at a time, one choice at a time, one boundary at a time, one structure at a time, one return to alignment at a time. Integration matters because divided living creates pressure. When your wound says one thing, but your choices say another, pressure grows. When your body says no, but your mouth says yes, pressure grows. When your values say peace, but your habits entertain chaos, pressure grows. When your calling says structure, but your schedule serves distraction, pressure grows. When your truth says boundary, but your fear keeps explaining, pressure grows. That is divided living. And divided living is expensive. It costs peace. It costs clarity. It costs energy. It costs time. It costs self-trust. It costs alignment. Integrity 444 is about ending the inner split. It is about bringing the self into agreement. The wound gets compassion. The pattern gets language. The path gets structure. The energy gets protection. The truth gets leadership. That is integration. That is what it means to stop living divided. You do not become whole by denying parts of yourself. You become whole by bringing truth, compassion, wisdom, structure, and alignment into the same room. Now I want to give you a final practice for this series. This is called the Integrity 444 Integration Check-in. Use it daily, weekly, or whenever you feel overwhelmed, confused, drained, or disconnected. Question 1. Healer/deer. What am I feeling and what part of me needs compassion? Question 2. Counselor/owl. What pattern am I noticing and what truth needs to be named? Question 3. Mentor/wolf. What structure, boundary, or action would help me move forward? Question 4. EFV/ego. Where is my energy leaking and what atmosphere must I protect? Question 5. LTQS/lion. What does integrity require from my next decision? Write the answers down. Do not rush. This practice helps you stop reacting from one part of yourself. It helps the whole self come into agreement. That is the purpose of Integrity 444. Not to make you perfect, to make you aligned. So how do you continue from here? Begin with the path that matches your season. If you are hurting, start with the healer. Return to the wound with compassion and truth. If you are confused, start with the counselor. Name the pattern without shame. If you are inconsistent, start with the mentor. Build one faithful structure. If you are drained, start with EFV. Protect your atmosphere. If you need courage, start with LTQS. Listen, tell the truth, choose wisely, and stay aligned. If you need a symbolic map, use the animal archetypes. Ask, do I need the deer, the owl, the wolf, the eagle, the lion? This is how you walk the path, not by trying to fix everything in one day, but by locating the truth of the season and responding with structure. This series is called Start Here because every transformation needs a beginning. But beginning does not mean you have everything figured out. Beginning means you are willing to tell the truth. Beginning means you are willing to stop abandoning yourself. Beginning means you are willing to name the pattern. Beginning means you are willing to build structure. Beginning means you are willing to protect your energy. Beginning means you are willing to lead from alignment. Integrity 444 is a call back to truth, a call back to self-respect, a call back to emotional intelligence, a call back to energy protection, a call back to purpose, a call back to sovereignty. You do not have to keep living divided. You do not have to keep betraying yourself for false peace. You do not have to keep leaking energy into places that do not honor your life. You do not have to keep carrying the wound as your final name. You can heal. You can grow. You can protect your energy. You can walk your path. You can build on truth. So comment integration if this full path makes sense to you. Comment Start Here if you are beginning the Integrity 444 journey. And comment your path, healer, counselor, mentor, deer, owl, wolf, eagle, lion, LTQS, EFV. Subscribe to Integrity 444 LTQS/EFV and continue the deeper path. I'm Coach Christian. This is Integrity 444 LTQS/EFV. The deer feels, the owl decodes, the wolf rebuilds, the eagle rises, the lion leads. And remember, integrity is not a mood, it is a structure. Build the pillar before the pressure comes.